Well, good evening, Glue Troopers, and welcome to another scintillating episode of Max's Models. This is not an air race episode. Oh, by the way, I did rename the air race episodes. One viewer asked if I could put them in some sort of chronological order, and I realized even I was starting to lose track. So the first one I did, which was talking about the air races, is now air race promo, and then there's air races 1, 2, 3, and 4. Max's Models air races 1, 2, 3, and 4. So although they'll be done at the normal time as I can crank them out, they'll have that own label to them, just so if you're interested in just that series, you won't have to hunt and peck and try to figure out where they're at. So I just got back this morning from my trip, and while I was on it, I finished this book by Jimmy Doolittle. I Could Never Be So Lucky Again. Great read, answered a ton of questions. I knew he was a great pilot, one of the greatest pilots ever was. Now I appreciate just what a great person he was and a great American. And married to his wife for 72 years until her passing. He passed away at 97. You couldn't have a more colorful career if you tried. But one thing I really liked was he's a very self-effacing guy. He knew what his capabilities were. He was aware of them, not shy about pointing out what he was good at or what he was bad at. Totally admits to wrecking a bunch of airplanes he shouldn't have, owned his mistakes, learned from them, and of course all the fantastic stuff. We will be doing an episode on the Good General at some point. As part of the air race series, although I'm sure I'll get carried over into a few other things. One quick note, somebody sent me a 2021 Atlantis catalog, and but they didn't put their name or return address on it. So whoever it was that sent, and there wasn't a note inside, at least I didn't see one. So whoever sent that to me, thank you. I appreciate that. Speaking of Atlantis, their catalog's actually starting to, to fill out a fair bit. They got a lot more cars and everything now. I knew they came into a bunch of molds. I don't know if these are from that. They also have quite a few of TD's designs. One thing that I had pointed out earlier in some episodes was that their helicopters for probably going to be getting put out of production. So if you want to get one, I've been getting their emails. You just go to their website, and they did say that they found some. That's the last batch. I think they're going to only shoot one more batch of their Godzillas also. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff from Atlantis, I'd say go ahead and get them now. And you know me, I'm kind of like, hey, buy two, one to build, one to store, because someday they'll be rare, just like a lot of these original kits. And of course, you can sign up for free to get their email alerts, or to tell you what's going on. But that was, if I read correctly, that was what they said in that email. And so I didn't get any work done in the Tarbis because when I came home, we were in the midst of purging a bunch of old furniture. In fact, if you look behind me, you'll notice the cabinet is missing where I had been using as a backdrop that had some of my models in it. They're currently in the pilot room, crowding the table, all wondering about their new home. And that brings up the subject I wanted to talk about tonight. And by the way, we filled an entire dump truck up with old stuff. We got all kinds of stuff out of the house. Now we've got a little elbow room in here. But some of that stuff I have been using to store some of my models. And that brings up the question about what do you do with your models when you start running out of places to put them? And that can be by simply you're building more than you have space for, or perhaps you remodel a house or rearrange it or whatever, and all of a sudden, oh crap, I don't have all the floor space I used to have. Now, I'm wrestling with this myself. I can put a few of them back in the TARDIS. That's not a problem. I can rearrange the shelves I have. I try to keep my displays in some sort of order. You know, sci-fi and fantasy on one side, and you know, military or aircraft on the other, and then I have my special shelf for real space, and then things I like to put in the bedroom that are up on top. And my brother is supposed to be coming to visit in a while, and some of these models are his, so they'll go back to him, and that'll create a little bit of space for me. But that really does bring up an issue of how to prioritize your models, not only where to put them, but what kind of priority. Are you trying to set up a theme with your layouts? Because I do. My top two shelves are World War II and pre-World War II stuff, sort of the earlier aviation stuff. Then the next shelf is sort of Battle of Midway stuff, followed by civilian stuff. It's not completely coherent, but there's each section sort of has a rhyme. The shelf below that, 1/32 scale, World War II stuff, and some of the pre-war stuff, more or less in chronological order, going all the way over to the TD kit bash I did of the Dornier 337A3, our kit bash airplane. And then below that you have the jets and the Cold War stuff, the Korean War era actually, and below that the Vietnam era and post-Vietnam era Cold War stuff. Last two bottom shelves are more Cold War stuff. And of course the other ships on the sci-fi side, of course you got the Godzillas on top, all the kaiju. I might put the Pagila up there with them or something. And right now Pagila is living in the TARDIS with the little Godzillas. But you get below that, you get like the space fighters from the various series, and Star Wars, Star Trek. It's sort of in a not a completely rigid genre layout, but close. There's I'd call it a theme. Let's call it a theme. So do you want to be thematic with your display? Do you want to have, your biplanes in one area, your props in another, your jets in another, your space in another, sci-fi in another, fantasy in another? Or do you want to mix it up and have, your tanks, planes, kaiju, jeeps, dragsters all in one shelf? Some people like the symmetry, the way it looks. One of the reasons, although they're not in correct chronological date, I have the Godzillas the way they are simply by height, and it just happened to go with the slope of the ceiling in the background. I just thought it looked better. So it's that kind of thing. So when you start running out of space, or let's just say congestion becomes an issue, you can rethink your layout. I'm sure there are several of us out there that probably have to lay our models out based on how much real estate they eat up more than anything else. If you do happen to have unlimited shelf space, you have my envy. I am possibly going to, well, not possibly, at some point I am going to be rearranging the shelves, because now that I'm getting into the race planes, I have only one 1930s aircraft from 1/32nd scale, that's the Gulf Hawk. But once I finish this with Dale Williams, I'll have something to go with it. And I'm thinking, okay, I think I'm going to put all the race planes on one shelf, and of course the GBs and the Supermarine and them are all 1/48 scale. Then of course I have that Italian, that's it, M72. When I get that, I forget what scale that is offhand. When I get that done, and am I going to put all the race planes? Just give an entire shelf to race planes, or just maybe do the two big ones, or the ones I really like, and things like that. So I'll have to get the models built, of course, before I make a decision. But I'm already thinking ahead about how I want to show these things. The models I've already showed you that I want to build, that are for the April builds, I've actually already been so far as thinking, how am I going to display these things? And I don't know how many of us actually think about where we're going to display a model before we build it. I'm getting tight enough for space now that kind of enters into the equation. Doesn't really alter what I build, it just factors in. The one that's the big issue is going to be the Felix stove, because it's going to be a huge model. That's clearly not even going to fit on a shelf. So I have to figure out what I want to do with that. I mean how I'm going to display that. And, you know, as we used to say in the Army, well, we'll blow that bridge when we get to it. The Hasegawa Clear F86, I definitely want to make sure that gets displayed nicely. So that'll probably go with the Cold War era jets. But the problem there is that they're on a lower shelf and they're all 1/48 scale. I'm like, yeah, that's not really gonna fit. Then again, perhaps a mod like that will rate its own display. I'm seriously considering about painting one half and leaving one half clear. So maybe some kind of rotating base, but then again, where am I going to put it? So these are the kinds of things that I'm wrestling with. You know, to have such problems means you have a pretty good life. And also, before I go tonight, I want to toss out yet another shout out for Mike Mishat's channel. I just watched a video he just posted on models, and I'm imagining if you're watching this channel, you've probably seen Mike's work. And again, he did another great episode talking about the older kits and everything. And some of it's turf we've covered before, but it still just never gets old. And he brings up a lot of really interesting things about the early kits and stuff. So I'll put a link down below. I think you guys will get a real kick out of it. Of course, it's aircraft oriented. And that segues in to my final point, and that is airplanes are probably overall the hardest thing to display because given their general dimensions, they tend to eat up so much real estate. One of the things I'm really starting to appreciate about cars is that, you know, they have a certain footprint. You can put a lot of them on a shelf. They look great up there, and I'm really starting to appreciate there's a kind of an inherent advantage to armor, except for some of the tanks have really long gun barrels on them, which can be problematic, I'm learning. And a lot of guys who do, of course, tanks like to do dioramas too. And of course, you can do a fairly small base and still have a excellent layout and everything. But airplanes are definitely problematic. Of course, the upside of an airplane is you can hang it from the ceiling, depending on what kind of place you're talking about. I'll probably I'm actually looking at a way to rig some more wires up in the Tarbis so I can hang some more models up there. And I'm probably going to get rid of some of the models that are up there that I didn't actually build. I might have repainted them, but ones that I'd gotten in lots that were already pre-built. And I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Although I'm giving serious consideration to making that little Messerschmitt Comet, put it on one of my trash rockets and play, you know, tremulous with it. See how that works. And yes, then there's the whole thing with the rockets, which I haven't had a chance to get into that either. But I'm hanging on to every piece of tubular cardboard I come across. But again, I'm only home for tomorrow, and then right back out on the road for 4 more days. So I just want to throw something out there for you guys, and hope you're having a great time. Hope you're still modeling. I will be taking another book with me, and I really enjoyed the Doolittle book, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys are having a great evening. I'll let you go now. I'd like to get another air race video tomorrow. That'll be my goal. So take care, guys, and model on.